there in solo queue, but this is a big ask. After a loss especially, subbing him in. It's not a must-win, it's only the first series of the year, but the first series can often set the tone. And Rox had a really uphill battle under their previous name, the Rox Tigers, last year to even qualify for the World Championships because of their very poor start to the season. I don't know if they want to see echoes of it here, but I'll have to wait and see.
Well, they don't want to see Ekko for sure. They go ahead and ban that away. So, knowing they still have to respect it as a top lane pick, but
I'm glaring at
not
you.
so much as
glaring at you, Achilles.
I can see it, I can feel it hitting me on the side of my face, but don't want to give that over to Smeb, perhaps. I don't think they'd mind so much giving it to Peanut again, but Maokai is going to be banned from VuVee, who had a very monstrous performance on that.
And let's return to Rox's bans on the blue side. 3 mid lane bans.
Yeah.
They went for something, and they kind of looked for a control mage to pick Aurelion Sol in, and then the Aurelion Sol didn't really impress. It's one of those non-teleport champions, so even though the split pushing was looking good, they got caught on the other side of the map. A lot of things kind of tilted the way of Samsung last game. Speaking of power picks, we're going to see Nidalee available and snapped up by Ambition, but the jungle pool is still very competitive.
Yeah, but look at this. Azir and Lucian grabbed up here for the Rox Tigers. So Azir was banned away, one of those 3 that you mentioned there.
But this is super interesting. And the reason why it is that cast your mind back to the Rox Tigers last season. One thing we always knew was they were never going to set up a scenario to try and first pick Azir against some of those other strong mid laners, because one of the most ineffectual champions in the history of this team has been Azir. Kuro has always struggled to pull it off. It's not Kuro anymore, so we do see an adaptation. First round Azir, and now we're going to see if Cry can actually pilot it to a level that's been atypical, because it's been a struggle to pull off Azir comps for Rox Tigers.
Yeah. But does get snatched up here, and of course Lucian taken means that Ezreal is going to be the AD carry to follow for the other side. But Soraka coming out as the support in that bottom lane.
Soraka Ezreal, not known for its lane pressure.
It's a lot of poke, I guess.
I don't like Soraka Ezreal because I love Ezreal Alistair because, you know, Alistair can just roam, but now you just want to kind of park your Soraka next to an Ezreal who kind of wants solo time and experience to both get levels and those tier stacks. Definitely not applying a lot of pressure. Look at the difference in pressure in duos. Lucian Bard versus Ezreal Soraka, although I guess it's not 100% this is going to be an Ezreal AD carry.
That is possible.
They're flashing the Caitlyn, so...
Yeah, that is that's very true. This could just be the mid Ezreal. Go in and match that poke of the Azir in the mid lane and just try to stay as safe as you possibly can be.
A lot of power on the side of Rox Tigers. Lucian is that first pick, first ban AD carry. We saw Peanut 12-1 on Elise during the course of his time last season. It was one of his power picks. Next to, of course, the Kindred and some of the other powerful picks. Samsung are really rotating through AD carries. It showed the Caitlyn first, which would have meant Ezreal mid. Varus certainly would be more expected to be the mid lane pick if that's locked in.
It's still just a very strong amount of poke, and they will lock this in. And it's going to be Poppy as well for Kube up in the top lane, something that Smeb is very well known for. But what do you think about this hover of the Fizz? Because right now the only tank that they really have on the team is the Elise. This would have to be a full tank Fizz, you would think.
And remember, he tried that before.
Yeah.
He has played the top lane Fizz as recently as the grand final, I believe, and struggled with it. When we saw top lane Fizz, someday didn't make me a believer. So it can definitely work. You know, it's basically an Ekko when it comes to item build, and they're just looking for consistent damage. They are going to lock it in.
Locked, okay.
Probably going to get lane swapped on. It can still be a menace in teamfights. When you hit 40% cooldown reduction, you're very difficult to kill because, of course, you're stacking those tank items. Wave clear going to be mostly Azir and Lucian focused. I think a lot of this game is honestly going to be on Peanut, though. They've got Elise Barge. Their ability to take over an enemy side of the jungle, rotate quickly between lanes, and push advantages, dive with the Fizz, is certainly there. So if we see a proactive game plan from, say, the 4 members of the Rox Tigers and then Cry just kind of wave clearing and looking for those late game team fights, I'm optimistic that Gorilla and Smeb and Peanut can pull off some really intricate ganks and get this Fizz ahead.
So what are we expecting for the early game here between, mostly on the side of the Rox Tigers with this Bard? Do you think we're going to be seeing an aggressive invade such as we saw yesterday? You know, 3-man over the wall. They have at least the Cocoon to follow up, perhaps for some CC. Or do you think that there's just going to be a lot of lane swaps going on, maybe some invasion for some deep boarding? Like, what do you expect to see here, Papa?
I mean, with Bard, any strategy is possible. Question is, do they want a lane swap? Because 2v2, you're going to definitely be pretty happy with Lucian Bard against Soraka Ezreal. But if you set up a lane swap, if you get the turrets down, then you ward up, and then Elise and Bard go missing on the map, you can make a lot of plays. So turrets going down is in their advantage, but the 2v2 is as well. So it's going to be super exciting to track what Rox Tigers prioritize in the early game, because they've got so many tools to look for a big win.
Yeah, also have to keep our eyes on Wraith with the Soraka and see if he can play it about as well as we saw Afromu play it at MSI.
Got to worry a bit about Samsung. We'll get into it in the game, but Soraka wants to peel back and heal. Nidalee wants to peel back and heal. Varus wants to poke from range. Squishy team.
Yep, we'll see what happens. Game 2 here, Rox Tigers versus Samsung. We're up a game at the moment. See if they can close it out with a 2-0. Samsung fans sounding a little bit bolstered by that first win.
Bit of gusto and wind under their sails, and now we see what can only be called a poke comp from Samsung. Ezreal, Varus, Nidalee under turrets.
Very
you might think,
one.
but Poppy. But because Poppy, great as a disengage champion, so
yeah.
Probably not going to be so much about the wall slam engages, but more about the goalkeeping.
Okay, well this is a good way to start things off here. Not going to be too much following up on that one. No flash or heal used by Ruler. But
he will have to back, though, remember.
Yeah.
Soraka doesn't have W, took a point in Q, so if they want to push aggressive vision, now would be the time. Going to back away instead. But Soraka, the goalkeeper, sorry, not Soraka, the Poppy, the goalkeeper, is pushing people away with the ultimate. They have very strong siege, but if the siege ban doesn't come together, gotta say, doesn't really do a lot else, this Samsung comp. They're very, very squishy. Even Azir can get in there, separate the Soraka, kill her off. Fizz, enough said, enough of a tanky build, can dive in, kill one member, probably the Soraka once again. Definitely going to be a big target on the head of Wraith. Rox Tigers have so many options and some winning lanes, so, man, this is definitely night and day compared to game one. No scaling really to speak of on the side of Rox. They're ready to go right now.
Yeah, the Azir would be the closest thing, really, as far as
I mean, he gets nationals too, then he's pretty stoked, let's be real.
Yeah, he'll be pretty happy. We'll see if we get any fun interactions with this new wall change that came into the patch.
Wait, are you talking about hidden features, Achilles?
I am talking about hidden features.
You watched that Earth clip, didn't you?
Oh, I did, and I enjoyed every second of it.
But see, if that happened in a competitive game, it would instantly be hilarious, and then we'd instantly have a remake.
Yeah,
so
it would have to be a remake, and then Azir would be banned until it was patched.
We're lucky that League really take off as an esport back when there was those. Do you remember when the knockups from Cho'Gath could randomly last like 8 seconds?
You would just vanish and
you just
drop
you'd fly to space.
Yeah. I've had that happen many times. Even Blitzcrank, you just use the Blitzcrank.
Knockups were hilarious.
They were very good. I mean, Blitzcrank in general had so many things that were broken about him. You grab somebody right as they finish a recall and they fly back to you across the map.
I feel like if this whole casting thing doesn't work out, we can novelize the hidden features of League of Legends, the timeline, 2009 to now. Include such fun ones as Anivia sitting in the spawning pool, shooting out her Flash Frost and stunning the whole team.
Just be like a pop-out book.
Scratch and sniff, actually.
That's scratch and sniff?
Yeah. Why not?
How does that work?
These are the questions we'll answer when we're writing the book.
All right, all right. I'm very intrigued by your proposal, Papa, so I look forward to moving forward on that project with you. But for the time being, we can see we are just going to have a regular old lane swap here. Peanut and Ambition moving into the jungle. He's going to try to find that red buff, but guess what, buddy? It's not there.
It'll take a while to really understand what teams prioritize in the early game, because we still have that issue where lane swaps are a bit 50-50 when it comes to getting enough information to pull them off. But then you take other things like, okay, the 2v2 was pretty good for Rox, but if they just go to standard lane, they get dragon control. So is it the dragon that's pulling them? Is it just getting turrets down so Bard, Fizz, and Elise can have happy times in the enemy jungle? Yeah. They're clearly prioritizing the dragon enough to start it, but really working out what they want, what their primary objective is in going bot lane, kind of have to uncover over the course of a season and more data points.
Yeah. But much earlier start to the Dragon. Ocean Drake yet again to kick things off, as you can see there on your screen. 4, 8, and 12% respectively per stack. And that can be amplified by 50% with the Elder Drake, which we will be seeing later on in this game, unless we get a very early close. But if last game is any indication, I don't think that's going to happen.
It's funny how the identities have really swapped. Not that Rox was running a poke comp last game, but you see instantly double tier completed for both Crown and Ruler, so they're going to be definitely looking for the scaling.
Yep.
And now Rox as an Azir team. That's going to be interesting. This is the one team comp they really stayed away from. They played some Azir, but it's never looked convincing on it.
Oh, Peanut trying to rappel up to get these Raptors.
I think he was just putting his hand up for asking for a remake, and then was like, wait, they've actually been pulled away.
Will get taken by Ambition, so unable to find that. Not really able to find any kind of engagement over them either. But for now, it's just going to be very slow going for both sides. We can see the calls start here for Prey and the double tier, of course, for the side of Samsung with Crown and Ruler on that Varus and Ezreal combo.
And this is what I was talking about. Peanut and Gorilla are one of the most fearsome duos of invading support junglers, both in terms of the players we're talking about. You know, Gorilla and Peanut need no explanation, but just the duo of champions, the Bard and the Elise, are just so fearsome when it comes to burst, the ability to surprise. You can't really ward against Bard if it's early enough in the game that everyone doesn't have wards down.
They're also just ridiculously safe. You have the repel, the jump over walls.
How would you like safety, creativity, damage, and CC all in a duo?
Seems like a pretty good deal, if you ask me. Which you did.
I did.
So it's a pretty good deal.
Most of my questions are to you, Achilles. Sometimes the OGN Legion, but mostly to you.
Ah, yes, the OGN Legion. Thank you guys for sticking with us.
I mean, they don't have any competition.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, we also don't have a 28-minute delay on the game. So that's nice, because people don't have to wait around for the action
Oh,
start.
but they loved the Monty Doa podcast. What about the Achilles Papa podcast?
I don't know if they want the Achilles Papa podcast.
It's coming, let's be real.
I mean,
there's plenty of season for more technical difficulties.
I mean, that'll actually give you plenty of time to describe to me how you're going to have a scratch and sniff book about...
Have you never, like, had a scratch and sniff book?
Yeah, but they usually didn't involve hidden features in League of Legends.
What does the whole team being frozen smell like? What does a long knock-up smell like? These are the questions we can ask.
What happens when Blitzcrank
At this point, we could open up pre-orders, and people will be pretty intrigued by the scratch and sniff angle.
I mean, it would probably get some sales.
All right,
and then the reviews come in.
Work on that, Achilles. Work on it. The reviews are a later problem.
You work. Hey, man, this is your project. You work on it. You have to pitch this to me, though. Cry goes in for a very aggressive play. We'll get the flash away from Crown. Gets caught by the cocoon, but still not going to be any further follow-up, but that's going to be a very susceptible Varus, who has to just rely on the ultimate to keep himself safe for the time being.
And this early, it's actually a really big problem. If they can deny blue, the Varus will have issues wave because he'll need to auto-attack. He can't just sit back with infinite mana and do double Q through a wave and take it down. He'll have to actually get into auto range, and then the wraparound gank from Peanut onto the Azir lane will be successful. So they can transition this into stopping that mana sustain. Will be a really big win for Rox Tigers.
Quite possibly. We can see, though, Crown already has that Null Magic Mantle in his pocket. Going to be looking for that early Hex Drinker to try to soak up some of that damage that Cry is trying to put down on him with these Sand Soldiers.
Meanwhile, Ambition has been like, screw you guys, I'm farming. With a lot of CS.
Yes, he does. 47-27. Wow. That's quite the lead there as far as the CS goes. And
this is a playstyle that you have to remember that Blank was pretty punished for in MSI, but so far, apart from that mid lane flash, things have gone mostly to plan for Samsung. So, able to get away with farming up, sacking some ability power.
Yep. See, though, Prey just trying to keep this pressure down on Ruler in that bottom side, using the calling just to shove into the tower. And he's going to go ahead and recall. Should have the gold here for the Call Field's Warhammer. And that'll place him about 1,000 away from finishing the Youmu's. That's just going to be Boots double longsword, so about 1,400 out.
Next dragon spawns in a minute and a half. For now, it doesn't look like Rox are setting up around the enemy blue, which has spawned already. Varus, with no mana, decided to turn back his Ambition. Well, if that's the only one you missed, then no big deal. He can just pretend that it wasn't on camera.
Yeah, worrying trend, but this is a little bit more worrisome for Smeb. Has that brush warded, however, so we'll be able to just use that troll pole, hop his way out of the spear, and get himself to safety.
Jungle enchant already completed. Still the rune glaive, so no changes there for Peanut. And that's the thing, is that Ezreal hangs back. You can still have this lane and farm up, but it's to empower a Soraka run, which just doesn't have that same impact on the map. You know, it's one of those champions who can't really face check brushes, because of course dies to a strong gust of wind from the enemy. Can come for the drive-by heal in mid lane, I guess, but that's really low power when it comes to roams. This whole team comp, you know, when Cuvée looks for a teleport flank, who exactly is walking in toward? It's probably not Nidalee. It's definitely not Crown or Ruler on Varus and Ezreal, and good luck, Wraith. So
Cuvée has to be entirely self-sufficient. He has to place his own wards and then teleport to them.
Blue Trinkets saw a very significant nerf on the last recent patch as well, so you don't even have that lower cooldown to stagger in the Blue Trinket wards. So they're forced into an objective hole where they have to really work out, is this Dragon Baron being taken? You've got, I guess, an Ezreal, and they're not much more.
Well, you have a TP right now as Smeb is coming in from the backside, jumps over the wall with the troll pole. Looks like they might just go into Ambition, who's taking a lot of damage from the Azir, trying to run up the river to get to safety, but he's not going to make it out. Peanut finds the first blood. This is much more characteristic of the Rox Tigers, as we expected. Gorilla flashes in, tries to get a stun onto Ruler, only going to find the slow. They will be able to walk away with first blood, but they don't have much gold to really show for it.
Do they feel feisty enough to start this Dragon? The answer is looking increasingly like no. They took out the enemy jungler, but don't really have the health bars or position on the map, and with a big reverse wave pushing in top, I guess it's time to just back away. So a couple of extra summoners invested after the guaranteed kill for no extra gain. So it's good, but not fantastic for the Rox Tigers.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting play there from Gorilla in the latter half of that. But like you said, wanting to back off, a few of them got chipped down, and of course the enemy team does have that Soraka to just spam heals, so they would be quite healthy to try and take the Dragon in a 4v5 situation. Looks like now, though, knowing that the recalls came through from Peanut, they're going to go for this themselves, and I don't think that Rox can really do anything about this, and this is the Infernal Drake going over to the side of Samsung.
Yeah, one of those Drakes that has a really big impact in the late game with the Dragon stacking. Every time I say Drake, I think of those days when Europe, of course, would always call it the Drake instead of Dragon. I feel like I'm casting EU LCS or EU pre-2013, but no, that's the new name.
That it is.
The thing that happened there was that Smeb had to go up and meet the minion wave. It was big enough, and Cuvée stuck around, looked for a gank onto the bar, didn't find one. They take the Dragon. Good, smart play from Samsung. And what you can say when you look at the last and this game is that once again, Samsung, they play a no-frill style. Everything they does, to some degree, makes a lot of sense.
Oh, Cry gonna get locked down. Doesn't have a cleanse, obviously. Flashes away. Taking a lot of damage. Walks back in, but he's gonna get hit by that piercing arrow more than likely all the same. And he goes down in the mid side. Gorilla arriving a little bit too late to try to keep him alive. Just now hits 5, so doesn't even have the Bard ultimate to try to save the tower. And this should just be forced down here from Samsung.
Speaking of ults, Cry was about 3 seconds away from the Emperor's Divide, which would have cancelled the damage from the Nidalee Pounce if it was done at the right time. Didn't have that option, took the burst, died. And every time they've sent Smeb to answer a wave, feels like Samsung have really pushed forward and gotten multiple objectives and tempo on the map, even with this poke comp.
Yeah, up a tower is a pretty good spot to be in. We'll just take another look at this gank. Just nice ultimate from the Varus.
Crown has always had a narrow champion pool, but if I had to name 3, it would be Varus, LeBlanc, the champion we saw in the previous game. Those are the 3 with the Viktor. Those are the 3 that he's looked the best on and had access to the Varus now. It looked like a bit of a reach. It does pigeonhole them in to split pushing and really not much else barring a massive gold lead, but they've taken the most critical turret in the mid lane tower. In fact, they've taken the whole outer ring, so they still keep moving as 5. Rox will have to make those plays.
Oh, well, big engagement down onto Ruler. The culling comes across, but Wraith is going to keep him fairly safe. Gorilla was unable to find the stun, and that just should be the end of it. Smeb has wandered his way down here, has Chum the Waters available, but don't know if they want to go for a dive. Gorilla's still not level 6.
Look where Elise is. They definitely want to go for it.
Okay, that's true. Well, here comes Peanut. Looks like they're just going to settle for taking the tower.
First inner turret of the game will go down, so small thing for the Rox Tigers. Gives them a lot of control around the dragon area, but surrendered one of those dragons, so quite the same value.
Keeping it even in gold as well, but here comes Cuvée shoving in pretty aggressively in that top side. TP just about to become available for Smeb, but doesn't want to use that, so he just goes ahead and recalls and will wander his way up top.
No more boot enchants means no more distortions, so teleport time is going to be naturally that much longer by the end of the spring season.
Yep.
The arms race for distortion was earlier and earlier, so not that option anymore. Wow, actually got it with the spear. Very nice. Ambition has always been a wonderful Nidalee player, even from his Nidalee days in previous seasons as a mid laner for CJ.
He's going to try to go for the blue buff, but Peanut's actually just going to eat that one. And they give that over to Cry, who had a bit of an interesting adaptation. Went for the Seeker's Arm Guard first, and now going for the Gnasher's Tooth. Smeb TPing in, really aggressive. Bard ultimate not going to catch here from Gorilla, but here comes Smeb. Has jumped the waters. The double flash already used by Wraith. Not going to get the root. The exhaust comes across. There comes the Shark, and he goes down to Prey. Actually picks it up with the W.
Well, I don't know why he flashed away. He was 100% dead. No chance whatsoever to get away there for Wraith. That's what happens with Soraka. That's why we mentioned she cannot go on the same warding missions that a Braum and Alistair can. She just doesn't have a kit to fend for herself. She's always about empowering the allies next to her. So picked out, but it's a teleport for a kill. A bit of map pressure, you could argue, but that's of course the smallest of macro objectives. Nothing more for the Rox Tigers.
Does inch them up a little bit in the gold as well.
I mean, look at the difference between jungle and mid lane CS over their opponents. Cry has been finding it difficult to keep up with Crown even before he died and fell into a little bit more of a hole.
Well, Prey's making up for that for the most part. His 35 CS lead at the moment over Ruler.
That's gone for Sunfire first. Because you're not able to max the Playful Trickster first, which of course gives AP Fizz the wave clear that he does have in the mid lane, Sunfire gives you that ability to have a bit of ability to push back the minions.
And the Dark Seal comes through as well for Smeb. So if he can keep stacking up some kills, never know, could see a Magi Soul Stealer coming out.
I mean, it is Smeb, so there's an outside chance. Smeb someday definitely love that Magi's when it affords itself, but given how deep this Fizz is going to have to dive, I think likely that he's going to be trading his life for more important enemies.
We have to go deeper. Smeb trying to get on the Kube. Gets a little bit of damage. Gorilla and Peanut hovering around, but they get spotted by the Wolf Spirit, so the Poppy will remain safe for the time being. Dragon spawning now in 30 seconds. Didn't get to catch which one it is that's spawning.
Well, we see our first double up finally.
Yeah.
So 3 unique dragons and then the Elder Drake spawning in the first game. So far, just 2.
Double Ocean Drake.
It's what the people want. More ocean.
All of the sustain out of combat.
I just love the new dragon, just for the sheer reason that it reminds me of Captain Planet a lot. You see the fire, you see the wind, the water.
Oh. Well,
any homages to Captain Planet, good in my book.
I haven't seen that show in so long.
You would have been really young when it was on. You probably caught reruns.
I will, for sure.
You are the champions baby of the caster team. Not a champions baby. Those are probably born in the last couple of years.
I might just be the youngest out of all of the casters. I'm not sure how old. Like
Pulse is not old.
Well,
Pulse is like 20.
I thought he was maybe my age.
Nope.
Okay. Never mind. I'm near the bottom.
You can't have. You're definitely near the bottom of the caster clears. That's the title you can have. I didn't specify what that was about. Let's be clear. It's okay. Smile. Deep breaths. Got to get back into the game.
All right. I did my 10 count. I'm good. I'm back in.
No, we love you here, Ilias.
No. It is another Infernal Break.
All right.
So it would be a double up for Samsung if they're able to take it.
Warding duo mission with Wraith and Ambition. I don't know why he dodged a minion wave there. Of course, sort of Spiderlings would have tanked that spear, but nonetheless, as you mentioned, big if Samsung can pick this up, because then think about that one scenario they have to win, the poke under enemy turrets. Those Varus Qs, 16% more of a lot. Let's be clear, the base damage very, very high on the Varus piercing arrow. Not a dragon you want to give up, especially not in this scenario.
Yeah, it'd be pretty devastating. We see, though, Rox maybe looking for a pinch inward here. Smeb's going to roam up, but he's all by himself, and he fails the triple. Has to throw out the Shark just out of desperation. Finds Ambition, but there's no follow-up, so taking a hell of a lot of damage. He's going to go down. Ruler finds the kill. Now Peanut in a bad spot as they jump forward, flashes in, and Ambition will still connect with the kill, and Prey falls as well. 3 kills picked up for nothing. Samsung coming up wildly on top of that trade. Wasn't even much of a trade, it was a steal.
It was like the Rox Tigers tweeting a lot of pictures of Peanuts' happy holidays in Phuket. Not been a vacation season to remember for a lot of teams. It seems like the vacation hangover might be extending to their first series of this new season of the LCK.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a professional League of Legends player, you cannot take vacations.
No holidays. Nope.
I mean,
I like how vacation's now a dirty word.
It used to be something so nice.
Exactly. You've earned your vacation.
And now you hear vacation just
now it's like,
you.
oh, the Rox Tigers went on vacation. That was a vacation of a troll poll, by the way.
That was just so bad by Smeb.
I mean, Smeb just gives up his life for nothing, went for an engage, probably was going to flash on to get the slow onto the enemies as his team comes in, but just screwed it up next to the terrain. More people give their life, and Samsung with a poke comp win a team fight pretty one-sidedly at 20 minutes, so that's
entirely one-sided.
Oh boy.
They got the Drake as well, so now they have 16% increased AD AP.
It's just crazy how the GE, now Coup, now Rox Tigers lineup seems to just echo when it comes to the past. You know, making it to that grand final of spring season, and then kind of losing out from not being able to play themselves into form, losing to SKT, and starting sluggishly in the summer season.
Yep.
Not been convinced by Cry as well, but still very much early days in his career.
Yeah, I mean, we can't hold him accountable for too much that's happened so far. He's just died that one time. Rox trying to find this blue buff. They do catch Ambition. The TP coming through from Smeb. Going to be matched here, however, by VuVee. We'll see how this one's going to turn out. Ruler gets knocked up there by the Shark. Riddle taking a hell of a lot of damage. Has to back out of here.
And remember, this is the 3rd time Teleport has been invested for a single kill, and Rox Tigers move back into nothing. They cannot realistically fight for the Baron. This is,
well, they find Kube with the Cocoon, and they're going to blow him up.
Well, that's better.
Yeah, he gets the Keeper's Verdict out, so that's going to be 2 kills picked up here for Rox, but can they turn that into anything? They're eyeing up around this Baron, looking like they just want to go for a bait, try to draw Samsung in. Wraith wandering ever closer.
The Soraka issue. I need wards, but I can't get there.
Yeah, well, they just used the scrying and they cleared it, so now they had him. Oh, big magical journey, 3 members going through, but Gorilla takes a ton of damage. That comes out from Crown, and they're just starting to layer it on thick. That is going to be Ruler falling. Can they follow up with more? Prey going in deep, trying to find Crown, taking a hell of a lot of damage though. Will find Wraith, but he goes down. Crown still alive for the time being, and actually picks up 2 kills from the side of Samsung, making that not quite an even exchange as Rox had the 2 kills from before, but yeah, Gorilla now on the run. Spear comes out, there's nowhere you can go. Gets the stun off. Magical Journey, can he make it through? Ambition's gonna follow. One more auto, one more pounce, and that is gonna finish him out. He goes down. Crown actually teleported to try to kill Gorilla.
Worse, so he got a teleport.
I mean, yeah. Oh, wow, and then Peanut almost getting caught. That was a little
So this looked
crazy.
great, right? You're like, all right, we're going to get these picks, but remember, they're walking into so much line damage and the chains of corruption. Rox keep engaging into this massive AoE. They're all poked out, 3 people below 300 health. Prey kind of runs in crazily, not really respecting that Nidalee's respawned, and it's also a Soraka, so suddenly Crown and the other backliners have an extra 800 health that you wouldn't have really been able to account for. They would have got a pick if they were a bit more passive and held back, because remember, Soraka had no way to check that brush. Once again, no big advantages for the Tigers when they get their picks. In fact, they end up losing consistently, and now Samsung also have those 2 Infernal Drakes, so that poke damage is really going to start sticking.
Yeah, 2 Infernal Drakes, 2,500 gold as well. So Samsung still in a very comfortable spot. You see though, Rox, you know, showing that they're still not afraid to pull the trigger on a lot of these engages. It just has not been going well for them so far. Prey and Smeb getting way too overzealous going in deep, just trying to finish off Crown. They couldn't do it in the end.
Well, the moment that Samsung set up, it's going to have to be the Bardal. It's going to have to be the Fizz engage, and you can't wait multiple minion waves. It's going to have to be pretty damn quick. They need to see that stat, otherwise they will lose multiple objectives. They don't have the teleport on Smeb, so their engage options are much more linear, much more obvious. It becomes very difficult to keep these turrets alive.
See, Samsung got a little bit of damage in onto the tier 2, but can't stick around for too much longer. Smeb wandering his way back in through the jungle, trying to find a pinch, but just unable to do so. So a rough spot here for the Rox Tigers. Dragon getting ready to spawn in a minute and 20. Once again, not sure which one's coming up. We have to take a look. I wish they would put the symbol on the map.
I have a lot of requests when it comes to Dragon information, but nice OGN does have this overlay to let us know which ones are there, which is good. I imagine that it could become more and more clear, but the clarity around the Dragon changes isn't quite there yet.
Yeah, just having something on the minimap to tell you.
I mean, if you remember, it took a long time for us to get Dragon stack information.
That's
so
also very true.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Take it one split at a time, I suppose. But you never know, by the time the next season rolls around,
they've already taken
maybe all of these elemental drakes will be gone and we'll have something else.
I was going to say, they've already taken half, so I don't know how much more they
can
take.
Peanut got that with the W.
Yeah, blue buff confirmed onto the jungle. It's not a big issue, though. The Dragon's going to spawn. It feels like Samsung have a lot of pressure around it. And whenever you have ward pressure with a poke comp, again, it lets you know that the enemy team, some of their plays have not necessarily worked out. They've gotten the picks, but they haven't been able to get a pick, reset, either take an objective or get exclusive control around an objective. Poke comp having control just means that Rox have very limited places they can go. Now, this can all change. You can still get that big engage, instant kill the Soraka, instant kill one of the damage dealers, and then mop up a fight. But for now, Samsung are playing a very execution-heavy comp. Very clean. Yeah.
And it's going to be the Ocean Drake. So 2 Ocean Drakes and 2 Infernal Drakes this time around, and we can see Ambition just going to work through this one. Prey will spot it out, but Gorilla's already been chunked down, so they can't even try to really push in for this. So Ocean Drake will go over to Samsung, and Rox just have to mosey on back towards their tower.
Fizz was walking down, didn't want to use teleports. They're going to also lose lane pressure in the top side. Gorilla getting poked out means lane pressure in the bot side also going to be difficult because of the numbers disadvantage. 1Q onto Peanut. Well, it must be said, doesn't have any armor, is already sticking.
Wow, oh my god, the damage comes through. Lands a cocoon, but no one can follow up. No one wants to go near Crown right now. TP is going to come out here from Kube. Pops up Cry. That's going to be the Chain of Corruption coming through. The Zonias goes off. Does root Peanut in the back line. He's going to be safe for the time being, but they still have to just back off and get out of range of these piercing arrows. And with that pressure opened up, with the health bar so low, Samsung are looking to push in for this tier 2 in the bot side.
So much a wave clear and poke from the Varus.
Oh my god! Wow, nice spear from Ambition over the wall, threads the needle, and makes the connection. He goes down.
I've got to say, Ambition gets a Rox Tigers buff, because every time, now 2 times in a row, he's leveled up his game playing against this team, and looks like a world-class jungler.
Yeah. That wasn't, I guess that wasn't really threading the needle, that was just throwing it into a field goal for the most part.
Super effective, whatever metaphor you want to use to describe it. Now, Smeb goes back to clearing top. Slowly, of course, is the Fizz. Stacking armor, which of course is very powerful against the double AD. That is the majority of the damage on the side of Samsung. But Samsung continue to have control in multiple quadrants of the map, which is exactly what you want from a poke comp.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, a lot of this, you know, look at this very aggressive build from Ambition. Has the Abyssal Scepter, has the Rylai's, working on Azonias right now. You're taking all of this AP stacked with 16% increased from the Infernal Drake buffs. By the time Elder rolls around, they could make that, you know, another 24%, effectively gaining the 3rd stack. That's, he's going to just be devastating everybody with these spears. Smeb, oh wow, misses the jump the waters under Ambition, still trying to chase in for the kill, but Ruler is there to help kite him out, and Smeb just biting off way more than he can chew, going way too aggressive, and he goes down. This is such uncharacteristic play.
It's just sloppy. There's no other way to put it. It's very much first series jitters. They're a very experienced team. They're a great team, but you wouldn't say it based on today's performance, that's for sure.
Not at all. Now Rox just trying to hang on to the last vestiges of their bases. This tier 2, the last one standing, could be going down on this push. They have the poke damage.
Worth knowing that Poppy is bot with no teleports, so this is a true 5v4 scenario when Smeb respawns. But
they already have Peanut and Bray down below half HP each.
There's just no timing window when they're under turrets. Literally any Q comes through, someone's at half health, so just because Smeb had 10 seconds on his teleport time, I thought, okay, only 10 seconds. But when you're against this team with the double Infernal Dragon buff, 10 seconds is 10 seconds too long.
Yeah. Now you can see just pressure being applied in all lanes. Wave moving up to the bottom side has to be answered by Smeb. CP's available as mentioned. And Samsung are just going to return to the top side where they're whittling this thing down fairly quickly. Looks like they might just stick in. Have that stim buff there for Ruler with the heal. Here comes the Fizz over the wall, but they know that he's there. They're trying to slow him out. Kube, not really the one that you want to go for. The Bard ultimate connects on the Ruler, but they just can't find it. Smeb does juke out the Keeper's Verdict, but Gorilla goes down on the other side of the fight. Now Bray maybe looking like he's going to go down as well. Cry taking a ton of damage. Peanut goes in trying to find Ruler. Can he solidify the kill? It's not going to happen. Gets rooted immediately after coming down from the Rebel, and he is going to fall. 3 members of Rox have died. No one from the side of Samsung going down. They find the turret, they find the kills, and they are looking like they're going to find a 2-0 victory.
In the jungle, ability to kite back to the support, to the Soraka. They kept being sustained up. All the attacks from multiple quadrants did not work for the Rox Tigers, and Samsung showed very impressive skirmishing, pseudo teamfighting you could call it. Under that objective, they get the kills. Now they're going to get the Baron. This is really clean play from them.
This is absolutely spotless play from Samsung, and Rox just fumbling left and right, unable to find an opening. They tried for the TP here, but it just all falls apart.
I mean, unfortunately, Bard is just, and everyone is just fodder for this poke coming through from the double Infernal Drakes, and specifically the Varus. Look at how low Ruler falls until the Soraka heal comes through. Fizz is fighting in the bottom, just gets 2v1 by the Poppy and the Nidalee. And this Crown keeps getting topped up. There's no sort of pressure onto Wraith. SKT showed how to do it. Oh boy.
Oh wow, they're going in for Ambition. Do find him with the Emperor's Divide. They take him down. Ruler, he's going to go down as well. Chum to Waters connects and Bray finds the kill. This is the opening that Rox has been vying for this entire time. Slow coming through onto Wraith. They should be able to solidify the kill onto the Soraka, and they do. Gorilla went down in the end of things, but that's a 3-for-1. Only the support dying on the side of Rox.
The narrative doesn't change though, Achilles. They still don't have a clear objective to take outside of turrets, and with Varus still alive, they cannot even easily pick up a turret. So it's another case of nice fight, good kills, no more for the Rox Tigers.
It's very true.
Maybe they can get their minion waves in order, but again, the slightest, the smallest of advantages. It was a great engage. This is the sort of thing that SKT would do. But if you recall those SKT games against Soraka, it was Azir picking off the Soraka frequently in those games. In this game, the Soraka in general has been well protected. They fight around terrain where Soraka just heal priority targets. This time, of course, Soraka's a bit of a non-factor.
Well, looks like we have a little bit of an engage happening on the bottom of the screen. Crown already picking up a kill. Meanwhile, Kube just trying to get in on the Cry, who uses that Zonia, should be able to get out, has to flash the wall. Peanut goes in, does finish off the Poppy. So far, it's a 1-for-1, but the 80 carry of Rox is dead, and they have to hightail it out of here. Crown fires off the arrow, but it's not able to connect. But they have the pressure now in this mid side of the map. The Dragon has come up, and it's going to be another Ocean Drake. Let's take a look at how this all happened.
They went for another aggressive move under turret. Another missed fish, it must be said, from Smeb. That would have been a quick burst and possibly kill onto Crown. But the moment you miss a skill shot like that, especially with Tank Fizz, where the damage amp is so much of your pseudo-assassination potential when it comes to the tanky Fizz, I mean, the rest is kind of history. So again, another, you have to say, mechanical misplay, specifically from the guy who we put next to Faker as the real star of the Rox Tigers and real star of the LCK and Smeb.
Yeah. Really interesting misses here, Chum to Waters. Again, I mean, the last time that we saw this Fizz, it was fairly questionable. And it's looking like it's just going to keep being that way here.
It's just not getting value. It's not an Ekko. It's not really occupying space. It's being well kited. I understand the theory behind it is, oh man, that damage from Varus still.
That's disgusting.
The worrying thing is that Elemental Drake is spawning soon, and you like the Varus damage now? Just wait for that damage.
Oh yeah, the Elder Drake is going to amplify that quite a bit.
Everyone's sitting on 1,000+, apart from the Soraka as well. Juve has spent so little this game actually using his teleport. Actually been split pushing the majority, but of course that's usually after a Rox Tigers member has been picked off or they have appropriate pressure in other lanes.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just really good for Samsung.
I mean,
it's not over yet. That's the thing, is that while they're playing an execution-heavy comp very well, it's a comp that, again, should not be able to win late-game teamfights. We haven't really seen something that we could call a late-game teamfight. It's mostly been supports being caught off. I guess in a world where Soraka and Bardo are your supports, it can definitely happen. But a true 5v5 should be difficult unless they're able to just kite back to victory.
I mean, with the amount of damage that they have, it's just Rox is never in a position to actually go for a 5v5 fight. They get chunked out so low.
And their initiation is, again, that kind of teleport flank from the Fizz that so far hasn't pulled off. And when you have the dragon advantage, kiting back down or into the dragon pit, maybe it will be difficult for Rox to even use tools that should be kind of put together to win team fights. Again, specifically a poke comp. But a poke comp when you have no dragons and have to fight on the enemy's turns, it has a lot of problems. A poke comp when you're winning in map pressure and the neutral pressure can kite back and fight pretty effectively. So maybe it's all a bit moot when it comes to comp pressures, and at 7,000 gold ahead and with all those objective options, looking pretty good for Samsung.
Yeah, looking very good indeed. Massive gold lead accrued for these guys. And now just a few minutes away from that Elder Drake spawning. Baron coming up as well in 2 minutes. So a lot of things going to be coming up here for Samsung that if we take it, could really be the final nail in the coffin to finish off Rox in a 2-0.
For the brush camps, Fizz, let's see what teleport wards he has access to. There's the one towards the back of the red buff and on the red buff. But they want the enemy to funnel that way, and they're not going to.
He's going to keep pushing in on this mid side. Wave getting ready to join them. Of course, they have plenty of poke and sustain from the Soraka to just stick around as long as they really please. Rox is going to have to try to pull the trigger on something.
And Fizz is going to have to walk up, which really takes away from his effectiveness. Does have flash, but that's about it. Peanut already poked out this Nidalee and doing so much work. Smeb's actually in around the back, though.
He's gotten into a very good position if he can just land the chum the waters.
It's just who is going to walk up with him, with how we see Elise and the other pseudo frontliners or the support and the other members just get chunked out every time they try to get anywhere near the opponents.
Yep. And he gets spotted out. They drop that pink ward, and he just has to hightail it out of there. So still no wards available for Smeb to go for any kind of TP play. This is just going to be a continued onslaught here in the mid side as Ruler is just walking straight up to this tower. Does get caught by the Cocoon, takes a little bit of damage. Or ultimate, not going to connect yet again. Gorilla trying to come in from the backside, slows up Ambition, but Smeb already goes in deep, but doesn't even get to use Chum the Waters or Flash to get the safety. He goes down, now they're straight on to Prey in underneath the tower. True Shot Barrage finishes him off. Cry and Peanut both chunked out. Peanut just trying to stay alive as best as he can. The heals coming through onto Ambition. He's got to stay alive, and the tower and this inhibitor are going to fall. It's 40 seconds on Prey, 35 on Smeb. Can they just stick around and win?
They're going to look for the win. It was only a 2-1 when they took him out last time. What a story it would be if they could take him out 2-0, and I don't know if Rox have the tools to stop them.
I don't think that they do. The first tower already going down. Ambition taking up these turrets.
No minion wave.
The minion wave is dying out. A nice Bard Stun comes in through onto Crown. He gets caught by the Cocoon. Will they be able to finish him off? They do. Gorilla finds the kill. Emperor's Divide comes out, but Cry is going to fall. So the last Nexus tower is going to stand, but the Nexus goes down, and Samsung just blow this map wide open yet again.
Gonna get a time in for a shop. You can see in the top lane the minions are pushing in. Of course now the inhibitor down means the minions gonna be pushing in the mid lane. Are you gonna be able to get to Elemental Dragon? So the Elder Dragon that's spawning in 40 seconds, are you gonna be able to get to the Baron? Rox going for an engage, but the CC layering is just poetry onto the Fizz. Dies again with no impact in the fight. Smeb has either missed CC or just been outplayed every single time we've seen him go in, apart from the one where Soraka face checked. So every true 5v5, the Fizz pick has contributed nothing.
Yeah, and this was the same story in the last game with the Nami in the rotation as well. Just beautiful CC layering coming out from Samsung. You can tell that these guys are just communicating down to a T in every single fight. Everybody's on the same page, and they are just coming out 10 times ahead of Rox at every turn. Elder Drake just now spawned. Samsung looking like they're in a pretty good spot. Gorilla.
Oh, he actually got away. So that damage registered right during the last half a second of the recall.
Yeah, it was really, really close to being able to cancel, and that almost certainly would have been a dead Bard, or at least, you know, a flash down.
So I'm going to come up, push their lanes. Mid will auto push with the inhibitor down, and then kite back towards the Elemental Dragon that perhaps is just the final string in the bow of what should be a 2-0 victory for them. It's certainly not inked in the record books just yet, but it's looking increasingly likely.
Yeah. That's the question, is like, what can you do as Rox? They just haven't been able to execute at all. Smeb especially being a very big liability in this game with the Fizz. 0, 5, and 8. Hasn't found a single kill for himself.
You just don't often see Smeb be the actual liability of this thing. We see times that Smeb loses lane and you can see him try to make plays. He doesn't just continue to die, continue to underwhelm in future fights, but it's been mechanical misplays. It's been too much asked from me, you'd have to say. Rock's gonna buy a bit of time, but just gonna see Samsung move back, reset. They don't have to worry about taking poke damage, whereas every single Nidalee spear and Varus Q,
like
someone has to back.
Yeah. See Peanut again, just losing 30% of his HP. Smeb has to back off there in this turn, looking like it's going to go down in just a few more hits here as Samsung continue this onslaught. Don't have a wave for a little bit of time, but they have all of the sustain in the world for Wraith. Rox are just holding on for dear life.
Anyway's far away, so Rox do get free backs on Prey and the other members to top up. Well, Cry's at half health from one spear.
Yep.
Has to move back, so Rox Tigers have to move back as well. And
now Peanut below half HP. VuVee going to get locked up a little bit. Jump the Waters goes out onto the Poppy, but I don't think they're going to be able to find this kill. The heal's still being pumped out by the Soraka. Chain of Corruption comes out, finds Prey, taking a hell of a lot of damage. Has to kite back with the culling. Fires that out and almost finds the Poppy, whittles him down quite low. Smeb almost getting his Guardian Angel popped. Has to back off, and now Cry nearly falling, has to flash away, but still in a very dangerous spot. Meanwhile, the Super Creeps pushing in onto this last standing Nexus Tower. Not going to connect, and I think Rox just are going to have to leave their base in shambles as they try to get some kind of pick. Smeb comes in for the teleport, trying to get in onto Ruler. Does not have Chum the Waters quite just yet, but doesn't even need it. They pop him. Cry going to be the one finding the kill. Now they go in onto Wraith. Will be able to finish him off, and now Rox starting to sweep through the remaining members of Samsung. Keeper's verdict gonna go wide as they go in onto Ambition, trying to lock him down as best as they can, but Kube goes in to buy some time. Peanut uses the Zonias, goes up with the repel, actually might be able to stay alive. Kube gonna try to find that one. Meanwhile, on the other side, Smeb trying to finish off this Varus. And this is just going to be a nice turnaround. Beautiful stun into the wall. And it's not over indeed. Prey goes down, Crown finding the kill. Beautiful turnaround from the two remaining members. Now one remaining member here of Crown, and then Kuve in that beautiful charge, and now Prey's dead. It's just Smeb and Cry trying to clear out these waves of super creeps that are coming in the mid and bottom side.
We're talking about remaining members. Remaining structures is now a really big issue for the Rox Tigers. They have both their Nexus turrets down. Inhibitor will respawn soon. Only a single turret left on the map. That's the Inhibitor turret in top. This was a good teleport from Smeb. It was a good engage. Smeb was actually really smart to hold on to the Chum the Waters as long as he did.
At the beginning of the engage.
Well, that actually
just got it.
That actually really helped him out. They were able to get the focus fire, get the 2 kills. Then they just get a bit too hungry for kills. And kills are the one thing that Rox Tigers have gotten in both games. It's the objectives that have gone almost exclusively to the side of the enemy. And sure, Smeb eventually chases down and kills a Nidalee, but Cuve does poppy things, turns around. Crown's still at full health, and all his spells doing massive damage. Prey diving in onto Crown at full health is just a silly decision. And
that's what
it's been kind of everyone taking their turn, right?
Yeah.
Smeb's actually made some poor mechanical mistakes. It hasn't really been poor decisions. He's needed to engage. It's not admirable to have to be a Fizz to get into the back line, but it's been, again, been the misplays there, but Prey's dived in, Cry's made a couple of mistakes. Gorilla's been caught out a lot as well. And Peanuts just has a good scoreline. It's done his bit, but kind of has found his lanes just kind of wilt away around it.
Yep, well, it looks like making a little bit of a desperation move as they do have that slight reprieve in the inhibitor respawning in the mid side, but Rox saying, you know what,
really do that.
Yeah, we can't stick around for this. They can just go and try to end the game. Peanut is going to die. And now with the Nexus exposed, the turret's gone. This is looking like a very likely win here for Samsung. As the waves start crashing in, the mid inhibitor going to go down yet again. Creep still moving in from the bottom side. Cry takes a big spear, has to dash to try to get back to the fountain. He will be able to do so. They have the Sand Tower posted up, but it's not going to be able to do too much. Wow, Ambition taking a hell of a lot of damage, but Zonia comes out in time, and he will be able to dash away. The Destiny comes through as well from Wraith, keeping him alive. He's back up to half HP, and he jumps back in and finds the Guardian Angel on Smeb. And now Smeb is in the backside trying to do something, but they cannot stop the bleeding. Rox Tigers lose 2-0 to Samsung, who start this season off with a bang.
And there was just no luck about it. That was cool, that was calculated, that was a difficult to pull off team comp, but they did it with aplomb, and the Rox Tigers looked poor. There's no other way, and no other way to spin it. That 3-game series last season was close, it was exciting. This one was calculated and cold from Samsung, and that's an exciting thing to see from a lineup that keeps giving. I'm never really willing to call this Samsung a top team in the LCK. I was surprised to see them do so well. They eventually fell away, but was so precariously close to making it to playoffs.
Yep.
Good performance from them here, and everyone looks pretty out of it on the side of the Rox Tigers. They're definitely going to have to go home, dissect, and maybe this is the one time where their reads on the meta are a little bit off, because it felt like they tried too many things at once, and in the end looked disjointed, subbed in Cry, which wasn't going to help their shot calling or decision making, and lose 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, sans Soraka for Samsung. But wow, look at that damage figure there from Crowd on that Varus.
This is what Varus does. Like, you should never be surprised to see the numbers you can put through. You do pass-through damage onto minions, you do pass-through damage onto champions, 57,000-ish damage. Putting out, that's what Varus can do as a champion. There's a reason that Ever had it permanently banned against them for a long time. You're good at that pick, and you thought there were answers. We thought, okay, Azir can catch out the Varus and Soraka.